Her latest effort is a highly acclaimed, big-selling album, this one here, called What's New?
Welcome.
I don't know about the steamy relationships. I wasn't much of a partier. What I really like to do, and I never liked drugs, I have to say. I tried everything. Well, I didn't try everything. I tried several drugs. I didn't try.
Rock and roll legend, for the first time talking about the secret battle that silenced her singing voice.
To the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Linda Ronstadt.
What if I told you that one of music's most legendary collaborations almost never happened? That a 16-year-old songwriter will become the secret weapon behind Linda Ronstadt's incredible success? And that this same young man would witness the birth of one of the greatest bands in rock history, all while standing in the shadows of a woman who refused to fit into any musical box? Today, we're diving deep into the untold story of Jackson Browne and Linda Ronstadt, a tale of friendship, music, and the shocking truth that changed everything. Picture this. It's the late 1960s in Los Angeles, and the music scene is buzzing with energy. Folk music is mixing with rock and roll, creating something completely new. In the middle of all this excitement is a young woman from Arizona with a voice that can make angels weep. Her name is Linda Ronstadt, and she's about to meet a teenager who will change her life forever. But before we get to that life-changing moment, let me paint you a picture of who Linda really was. This wasn't just another pretty face trying to make it in Hollywood. Linda grew up in a house where music flowed like water. Her parents played traditional Mexican songs mixed with classic American tunes. Every night, the Ronstadt family would gather around, singing together, each child learning a different instrument. Linda picked up the guitar. Her brothers sang in the church choir, and music became as natural to them as breathing. When Linda was just 14 years old, she did something that would shock most parents today. She started her own band with her siblings. They called themselves the Three Ronstadts, and they played everywhere they could find audience. Coffee houses, college parties, small clubs, anywhere people would listen. For 3 years, they performed the songs Linda had grown up with. Folk music, country, bluegrass, and those beautiful Mexican melodies her parents loved so much. But Linda had bigger dreams. She could feel something stirring inside her, a desire to blend the folk music she loved with the exciting new sound of rock and roll. So she made a decision that would either make her career or destroy it completely. After just one semester at Arizona State University, she dropped out of college, packed her bags, and headed to Los Angeles with only $30 in her pocket and one piece of advice from her father. Never let anyone take your picture with your clothes off. Los Angeles in the late 1960s was like a musical melting pot. Young artists from all over the country were flocking there, hoping to make it big. Linda quickly connected with Bobby Kimmel, a musician she had met during her performing days back home. Bobby was impressed by her incredible voice and her passion for music, so he invited her to join his band in L.A. They called themselves the Stone Poneys, and it was a trio with Bobby writing songs and singing lead, while Kenny Edwards and Linda provided backup vocals and played guitar. Their folk rock sound was exactly what people wanted to hear. Soon, they were getting gigs at small clubs in Hollywood, and their unique blend of folk and rock was making waves. It wasn't long before Capitol Records came calling, and the Stone Poneys got their first record deal. They recorded their debut album, and 5 months later, they released their second album called Evergreen. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. The record company executives heard something special in Linda's voice on a song called Different Drum. They believed she should be the lead singer, not just backup. So they made a decision that would change everything. They re-recorded the song with Linda as the main vocalist, without the other two band members. The song became a massive hit, but it also tore the Stone Poneys apart. The success of Different Drum launched Linda's solo career, but it cost her the band that had brought her to L.A. Now, as a solo artist in 1969, Linda was facing the music industry alone. Her first solo album, Hand Sewn, Homegrown, didn't perform well, leaving her wondering if she had made the right choice. But she didn't give up. The following year, She released Silk Purse, which earned her first Grammy nomination for the song Long, Long Time. Things were starting to look up, but Linda needed something more. She needed a band to back her up on tour. This is where our story gets really interesting, because Linda's search for backup musicians was about to change the course of music history. As she looked for talented musicians in L.A., she discovered she wasn't the only one experimenting with blending different musical styles. The city was full of incredibly gifted artists who were all trying to create something new and exciting. And that's when she met him. Jackson Browne was just 16 years old, but he was already writing songs that would make grown men cry. Even at that young age, Jackson was different from other teenagers. He was smarter, more thoughtful, and way more evolved in his thinking about music. He had already written his first song, These Days, and was working on several more compositions that would later become classics. When Linda first encountered Jackson during her search for backup musicians, she probably had no idea that this skinny teenager would become one of the most important songwriters of his generation. But Jackson saw something in Linda that others might have missed. He recognized that she wasn't just another singer trying to copy what was popular. She was an artist who could take a song and make it completely her own, breathing new life into melodies and lyrics that other people had written. But Jackson wasn't the only talented musician Linda discovered during this time. She also met Don Henley, who was playing drums at a club called the Troubadour. Linda hired him on the spot after seeing him perform. She also recruited Glenn Frey as her guitarist. Glenn was already connected to Linda's manager, so bringing him into the band wasn't difficult. Now, here's where the story becomes almost unbelievable. Because there wasn't enough money in the budget to put all the band members in separate hotel rooms during tours, Glenn and Don ended up sharing a room. Night after night, as they traveled from city to city, these two musicians would talk about music, share song ideas, and discover that they both loved to write and sing. Linda had no idea that by putting these two men together, she was accidentally creating the foundation for one of the most successful bands in rock history. Glenn and Don started rehearsing together in their shared hotel room, and they quickly realized they had incredible songwriting chemistry. They were later joined by Bernie Leadon and Randy Meisner, along with a group of talented songwriters that included Jackson Browne and Jack Temchin. This group of musicians toured with Linda and even played on her third album, which she simply titled Linda Ronstadt. But by the end of that year, something amazing happened. Don, Glenn, Bernie, and Randy decided to form their own band. They called themselves the Eagles, and they would go on to become one of the best-selling bands of all time. Years later, Don Henley would speak about Linda with tremendous respect and gratitude. He credited her with having a huge impact on his music career and said she was a major factor in how the Eagles band was formed. Think about that for a moment. One of the greatest bands in rock history might never have existed if Linda Ronstadt hadn't been looking for backup musicians and accidentally put the right people together in the same hotel room. But let's get back to Jackson Browne, because his relationship with Linda was special in a different way. Even though Jackson never joined the Eagles, he maintained close friendships with all the band members and with Linda herself. In later years, this group of friends would go on tours together, constantly switching who was a headliner depending on who had the bigger hit in each city they visited. Jackson understood Linda in a way that many other people didn't. He saw that she had a rare gift, the ability to take someone else's song and make it sound like it was written specifically for her voice. This wasn't just about singing the notes correctly. Linda could find the emotional heart of the song and bring it to life in a way that sometimes made her version more popular than the original. In 1973, when Linda was 27 years old, she made another crucial decision that would define her career. She hired Peter Asher as her producer and released her fourth solo album, Don't Cry Now. This album was Linda's first time really exploring different musical genres within the same collection of songs. It had country, folk, country rock, and pop rock all mixed together. The album consisted mainly of cover songs, including Silver Threads and Golden Needles, which was originally recorded by Wanda Jackson in 1956. Linda also covered the Eagles song Desperado, Randy Newman's Sail Away, and Neil Young's I Believe in You. Critics and fans loved how Linda's vocals gave these songs a completely fresh feeling, like hearing them for the first time. This album also got Linda her biggest break yet. She was chosen as the opening act for Neil Young's Time Fades Away tour. Suddenly, she found herself performing in bigger cities and playing in front of much larger crowds than she was used to. It was exactly the push her career needed. Peter Asher turned out to be the perfect producer for Linda. He was collaborative and understood her vision in a way that previous producers hadn't. It seemed like he had the golden touch, because every album Linda released after Don't Cry Now climbed to the top of the charts. In 1974, Linda released Heart Like a Wheel, her final album with Capitol Records. This album was a massive hit from the moment it was released. It quickly climbed to Billboard's Top 200 and spent 4 weeks as the #1 album in the United States. Every single song on the album was a hit. Her cover of Hank Williams' I Can't Help It If I'm Still in Love with You reached #2 on Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. The album earned Linda 4 Grammy nominations, including Album of the Year, and she won a Grammy for Best Country Vocal Performance. The album also earned Peter Asher a Grammy nomination for Producer of the Year. Heart Like a Wheel was such a masterpiece that it was later included in Rolling Stone's 2020 edition of the 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. This was Linda's platinum breakthrough album, but it definitely wasn't her last. Her next release, Prisoner in Disguise, was another mainstream success, climbing into the top 5 position in its first 2 weeks and selling over 1 million copies that year. When her third album, Hasten Down the Wind, also hit #1, Linda became the first female artist in music history to have 3 consecutive platinum albums. By 1978, Linda had released 6 consecutive platinum albums, all earning her multiple Grammy nominations and awards. The 1970s truly belonged to her. All 6 albums reached the top 10 on the U.S. album charts, making her a top-grossing act who was attracting more fans than any of her female competitors. Her 8th album, Simple Dreams, became her most successful album ever, gaining international recognition and cementing her status as the most successful female rock and country star of that time. It was also during this period that her image became as famous as her music. She started appearing on the covers of Rolling Stone and Time magazine as America's best-known female rock singer. By the end of 1978, Linda had 6 platinum-certified albums, all of which were in the top 10 on Billboard's album chart. She was selling out concerts in stadiums and arenas, hosting thousands of fans, making her the highest-paid female act in rock at the time. She had made a name for herself as a leading performer in the male-dominated rock world, which was an unprecedented achievement. She was named alongside top talents like Joni Mitchell and Carly Simon as one of the queens of rock. But here's something that might shock you about Linda's incredible success. Despite recording over 32 albums, many of them award-winning and certified gold and platinum, Linda only wrote 3 songs herself: Try Me Again, Lo Siento Mi Vida, and Winter Light. When people asked her why she didn't write more of her own material, Linda gave an answer that showed incredible self-awareness and humility. She said, "Anybody can write a song, but it's really hard to write a good song, and it's almost impossible to write a great song. And I had people who were writing great songs around me." Linda was always completely honest about her position on songwriting. She knew she wasn't particularly gifted at creating original compositions, so she focused all her attention on delivering memorable performances and interpretations of other people's work. And this is where Jackson Browne's influence becomes crystal clear. Jackson was one of those people writing great songs around Linda. His compositions provided her with some of the most beautiful material she ever recorded. But more than that, Jackson understood Linda's artistic vision. He saw that she wasn't trying to be a songwriter. She was trying to be the greatest interpreter of songs who ever lived. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, Linda continued to break records and win awards. In 1980, she released Mad Love, a rock and roll album that became her 7th consecutive platinum album after entering the Billboard album chart's top 5 in its first week of release. Her subsequent releases between 1980 and 1990 were back-to-back hits, making the Billboard album chart's top 20 and selling millions of copies in their first years of release. Linda's 3 biggest-selling albums to this day remain Simple Dreams, 1977, What's New, 1983, and Cry Like a Rainstorm, Howl Like the Wind, 1989. Each of these albums showcase her incredible range and ability to cross musical genres while maintaining her unique artistic identity. But Linda's story isn't just about solo success. In 1978, she made an attempt to collaborate with two other incredibly talented women, Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris. Linda was a big admirer of their work and had even covered Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You on her 1975 album. The three women were longtime friends and admirers of each other's work, so a collaboration seemed natural. Unfortunately, their plan didn't work out for over 8 years due to conflicting schedules. According to Linda, everyone was too involved with their individual careers to find time for a joint project. But finally, in January 1986, the three women made their way into a recording studio where they spent the next few months working on their combined project, which they called Trio. Trio was released in 1987 and quickly dominated the #1 position on Billboard's album chart for 5 weeks, selling millions of copies in the U.S. Fans called it a long-awaited collaboration of three celestial songbirds. The album's success earned them a Grammy Award for Best Country Performance by a duo or a group with vocal. It was also nominated for Album of the Year alongside industry giants like Michael Jackson, Prince, U2, and Whitney Houston. 5 years later, they released Trio 2, a follow-up to their first project. The album was another major success, winning them a Grammy Award for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals and a nomination for Best Country Album. In 1999, Linda reunited with the Eagles and Jackson Browne for a New Year's Eve performance in Los Angeles. It was a beautiful full-circle moment, bringing together the friends who had supported each other's careers for over 3 decades. But Linda's story takes a heartbreaking turn in the 2010s. In 2011, she announced her retirement from performing. Then in August 2013, during an interview, the legendary singer revealed that she had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and could no longer sing a note. The diagnosis was later reevaluated to be progressive supranuclear palsy, a neurodegenerative disease with symptoms similar to Parkinson's. Linda recalled the moment she realized something was seriously wrong. In 2009, she was recorded with Emmylou Harris and trying to harmonize with Jackson Browne for a dancer when she heard a loud screech in her throat. She had her fears, but her throat doctor assured her that she was fine. Pictures of her vocal cords showed that everything looked normal, but Linda could feel her voice slipping away. Today, Linda lives in San Francisco with her 2 children, Mary and Carlos, whom she adopted in 1990 and 1994 respectively. She never married, despite having high-profile romantic relationships, including one with Jerry Browne, who was the governor of California at the time. In 2014, a year after her diagnosis, Linda was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Tucson Convention Center in Tucson, Arizona, was also renamed the Linda Ronstadt Music Hall in her honor. By 2019, Linda had released over 30 studio albums and had appeared on over 120 albums by a wide range of multi-talented artists. Throughout her career, Linda received a total of 11 Grammy Awards, 3 American Music Awards, an Emmy Award, and an ALMA Award. She also received nominations for a Tony Award and a Golden Globe Award. Many of her albums have been certified gold and platinum in the United States and around the globe. Linda also received a joint star with Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for their work on the Trio project. She was among 5 individuals who received the 2019 Kennedy Center Honors for their lifetime of achievements and contributions to American culture. She also received an honorary doctorate of music degree from the Berklee College of Music for her achievements and influence in music. Reflecting on her journey, Linda admitted she never thought her singing style would be so heavily influenced by the music she grew up with. During an interview, she revealed, "If I didn't hear it on the radio, or if my dad wasn't playing on the piano, or if my brother wasn't playing on the guitar or singing it in his boys' choir, or my mother and sister weren't practicing a Broadway tune or a Gilbert and Sullivan song, then I can't do it today. It's as simple as that. All of my influences and my authenticity are a direct result of the music played in that Tucson living room." Linda went on to say, "I don't record any music genre that I didn't hear in my family's living room before I was 10. It's just my rule that I don't break, because I can't do it authentically. I really think that our brain is hardwiring and soaking things up until the age of maybe 12 or 10, then it reduces. And there's certain things we can't learn in an authentic way after that. So what's the shocking truth that Jackson Browne revealed about Linda Ronstadt? It's not one dramatic revelation, but rather a collection of beautiful truths about friendship, talent, and the power of supporting other artists. Jackson saw Linda's genius when others might have dismissed her as just a cover artist. He understood that her gift wasn't in writing songs, but in finding the soul of song and bringing it to life in ways that the original writers never imagined. Jackson Browne's relationship with Linda Ronstadt shows us that the music industry at its best is about collaboration, friendship, and recognizing each other's unique talents. Linda didn't need to write her own songs to be an artist. She was a master interpreter who could take someone else's words and make them feel like they were written just for her voice. The story of Linda Ronstadt and Jackson Browne is a reminder that some of the most beautiful relationships in music happen behind the scenes. While Linda was breaking records and winning awards, Jackson was there as a friend and collaborator, writing songs that would become the soundtrack to millions of people's lives when filtered through Linda's incredible voice. Their friendship also shows us the importance of staying true to your artistic vision, even when critics don't understand it. Linda faced criticism throughout her career for not fitting neatly into any single genre. Rock people thought she wasn't rock enough. Folk people thought she was too pop, and country people thought she was too much of a mix. But Linda never tried to categorize herself into any single genre, and that refusal to be boxed became her greatest strength. Today, as Linda faces the challenges of her illness with the same grace and dignity she brought to her music, her legacy lives on to the countless artists she influenced and the friends she made along the way. Jackson Browne continues to perform and write, carrying forward the collaborative spirit that defined that magical era in Los Angeles when a group of young musicians changed the world. The shocking truth about Linda Ronstadt isn't scandalous or dramatic. It's beautifully simple. She was an artist who knew exactly who she was and what she could do best. She surrounded herself with talented people like Jackson Browne who understood and supported her vision. Together, they created music that has touched millions of lives and will continue to do so for generations to come. In a world where artists often feel pressure to do everything themselves, Linda Ronstadt's story reminds us that collaboration and friendship can create something far more beautiful than any individual could achieve alone. Her partnership with Jackson Browne and the other talented musicians of her era shows us that the best art often comes from people who understand and celebrate each other's unique gifts. That's the real shocking truth about Linda Ronstadt. She achieved legendary status not by trying to be everything to everyone, but by being authentically herself and surrounding herself with people who helped her shine brighter than she ever could have alone. If the story of friendship, music, and artistic integrity touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves great music. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another amazing story about the legends who shaped the soundtrack of our lives. There are so many more incredible tales waiting to be told, and we can't wait to share them with you. Until next time, keep the music playing and remember that the most beautiful songs often come from the most unexpected friendships.